Listen very carefully and follow my instructions. Prepare your brain for the Cortex Labs Nootropics podcast.
I gotta tell you, being an entrepreneur, I will not go through the rest of my career without taking nootropics. Aniracetam, Piracetam, Modafinil, Noopept, Uridine monophosphate. I mean, phenylpiracetam, forget it. You can always have a better brain.
The Cortex Labs Nootropics podcast is about to begin.
Episode number 51 of the Cortex Labs Nootropics podcast. I am your host, Ryan Michael Bell. I hope everybody has safe travels traveling around on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. The roads really weren't that bad, it didn't seem, and I guess it also depends on when you were traveling. Folks seemed to be put, or they were staying put during the main hours of hanging out and eating and drinking, and then kind of driving home in the after hours. But yeah, I hope everybody had a good time. If you ate too much, don't worry about it. Just apply some intermittent fasting. If you drank and ate, which I did, I definitely drank and ate. Make sure you get some alpha-lipoic acid. You want to try to minimize the toxic burden of some of the byproducts of the processed food and certainly the alcohol. Alpha-lipoic acid in 100 to 300 milligram quantities per day for the next couple days is a good strategy for that. But listen, I want to give you basically an Aniracetam cycling strategy. This is a question that I get all the time, and that I think a lot of folks are wondering. What is the best strategy? Is there a particularly widely used cycling strategy for Aniracetam? And I don't know the answer to that second question, but I do know what I think is the best strategy, and I'm going to get to that. This comes directly from the Beginner's Guide to Aniracetam, which is a digital guide that we just launched a couple weeks ago. It's called the Beginner's Guide to Aniracetam. Teaches you everything about Aniracetam, shows you how to cycle Aniracetam, even tells you what to cycle on when you're cycling off of Aniracetam. Gives you the dose ranges, the mechanism of action, all the stuff you really need to know about using Aniracetam surgically. But then I think probably the best part is there's 25 powerful Aniracetam stacks. I mean, these are pretty complex, pretty thorough stacks. I'll give you one of them right now just for the heck of it to give you an idea of the power of the stacks in this guide, and then we'll talk about this cycling strategy. Okay, here's the stack. Here's one stack from the Beginner's Guide to Aniracetam. 700 milligrams Aniracetam, 100 milligrams phenylpiracetam, 5 milligrams Noopept, a B complex, so just a run-of-the-mill B complex, all the major Bs, at least the RDA, and then 200 milligrams CDP colon. That stack's put together in a very particular way. I'll read you the description on it. All of our stacks that we've got in these digital guides have descriptions on them. The description is, this stack takes the focus and stimulation amperage up many knobs. Phenylpiracetam is a particularly energetic racetam, and combined with the rest of the compounds in this stack, it really brings on all-around brain performance. We bring in a B complex to some of the more complex stacks for neurotransmitter support. Okay, so that's one powerful Aniracetam stack, and now I'm going to get back to, let me just sort of shift onto the cycling element of this Beginner's Guide to Aniracetam digital guide. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to read you the first kind of part of it that discusses why you should cycle or whether or not you should cycle Aniracetam. And then we're just going to get directly into my personal suggestion, the suggestion in the Smarter, Better, Faster digital guide. That's one of our other digital guides that teach you how to use nootropics, as well as that same protocol that we put in the Beginner's Guide to Aniracetam, okay? So this is Sector D of that digital guide, cycling Aniracetam. The answer to the question, should you cycle Aniracetam, equals yes. And that's because you should cycle every nootropic in the book, besides perhaps caffeine and alpha-lipoic acid. The primary reasons you want to cycle Aniracetam have to do more with tolerance than some sort of threat to your organs or something. One of the great things about Aniracetam is that it's an allosteric modulator of the neurotransmitter receptors it works on, which means that it's hard to develop a tolerance, but not impossible. And a tolerance does in fact build to Aniracetam, and there is a case for the notion that you could also modify the receptor sites that Aniracetam works on so that under normal conditions your brain doesn't work as well. This is why you want to cycle Aniracetam. I also believe in giving your body a break from a particular chemical compound that you've been taking continuously over an extended period of time. I believe in the need to bring in a thing called homeostasis back into the picture, which is essentially your brain and body functioning without the input of outside chemicals. All of that said, there is a particular cycling strategy that we outline in the Smarter, Better, Faster Nootropics Guide, which is the modern tell-all, fully instructional nootropics guide on all the modern smart drugs, and that cycling strategy is still relevant and is what I suggest to people at the current moment. Here it is. Number 1, after 1 full month of continuous use of Aniracetam, cycle off for 2 weeks. Number 2, alternatively, you could avoid a whole 2-week off time by cycling Aniracetam throughout the week in a 4 days on, 3 days off capacity. You can take Aniracetam for 2 to 3 months using this strategy. Number 3, if using the strategy of 4 days on and 3 days off, after month 3, cycle off completely for between 1 and 3 weeks. Number 4, lastly, if at any time during the duration of your use of Aniracetam, you recognize some degree of side effects and you've worked through taking the dose down, up, modifying the choline source, or adding B vitamins to your stack, which is all the things you should do first when running into side effects to correct them, cycle off for 2 weeks completely. Then cycle back on and see if the problem still exists. And that's it. Cycling doesn't have to be complicated, but it should be done. If there's one thing I've learned over the course of the last 9 years taking nootropics is the more you take them consistently without cycling, the more you run into problems, okay? 3 major words that you have to get when it comes to nootropics and Aniracetam included: you must cycle. Okay, so that comes directly from the beginner guide to Aniracetam. Get that digital guide at livecortex.com. It's digital. You can download it for anything. Teaches you all that stuff, plus gives you very many powerful stacks. But that's the Aniracetam cycling strategy, okay? You want to try to employ that strategy whenever possible. You want to try to stick to as close to that protocol as you can. I mean, this is the way to really avoid some of the side effects that might come with consistent use of Aniracetam. This is the way to avoid a major tolerance issue that comes with Aniracetam that sort of gets it to lose its oomph over time, and really just generally, for good measure, that is the best cycling strategy for cycling Aniracetam. Thanks for listening. This has been episode number 51 of the Cortex Labs Nootropics podcast. I am your host, Ryan Michael Bell. Check us out on the web at livecortex.com, at livecortex.com/blog. We have all this good stuff posted there, along with our videos and a bunch of blog posts about nootropics. And at Facebook at facebook.com/Cortex Stacks. And, this is the Cortex Labs Nootropics podcast on iTunes. One thing, before January, it ends on January 1st, 2018. We're running a special on everything on the Cortex Labs website. That's the Cortex Nootropic Stack. Our powerful pre-made stack turns the lights on. You want mental energy, you want brain energy, you want cognitive endurance, and speed of processing and verbal fluency, which is hard to find in a stack together. Get a bottle of the Cortex Nootropic Stack. That's on sale right now, normally $34.99. If you use the coupon code 27, it takes it down to $27 for a bottle of Cortex. That stuff is powerful, okay? That lasts till the 1st of January, 2018. So if you're listening to this and it's not January 1st, 2018, that coupon code 27 at livecortex.com is still active and will take $7.99 off of Cortex. It takes $7.99 off of anything too. So the Noopept Pro Stack List, that's one of our other digital guides on Noopept. The Racetam God Guide, that's a giant list of just about 80 Racetam stacks. Smarter, Better, Faster, which is another digital guide that teaches you sort of everything. It's like the tell-all modern nootropics instructional guide. And then the Nootropic Stacks for the Business Professional, which is a digital guide that we launched recently. It's particularly for business folks, but anyone can get benefit from it because there's a lot of powerful stacks that induce productivity, particularly around business in that digital guide. But everything on the Cortex Labs website is $7.99 off by using the coupon code 27. Make it happen at livecortex.com. Again, livecortex.com. If you want to try Cortex, our powerful stack, or get any one of these massively information-packed nootropics guides with stacks inside, coupon code 27, guys. Thanks so much for listening. Use that Aniracetam cycling strategy wisely, and rock on. Talk to you next time.